Welcome to Rocket. I know you guys are used to our usual relationship topics. This is still relationship bound. However, we're on a more serious note. It's something that we really need to talk about as women, as a community, because it really affects all of us. As the saying goes, what affects one affects all. So lately, there has been a lot of domestic violence, abuse situations happening in the media and on social media. Really. I mean, like the most I've seen in such a short time. It's almost alarming. And we were actually a little taken back almost by the response toward the victims. Like you would think that people would be a bit more sympathetic to them, a bit more understanding as women, and that's not what's been happening. So we thought that it was so important to take this opportunity to really talk about domestic abuse, what it is, what it means, the cycles, how we are affected by it, not because it's not just the physical, but it's also emotional and mental. So, a lot of people think, well, if you're getting abused, like he hits you, get up and leave. But it's not. It's not always as easy as packing up and leaving. So we're going to delve right into domestic abuse, and we're going to start with what it is.
People don't realize that domestic abuse is physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. And it's all wrong.
One doesn't separate, from the other. So we're going to give you like the textbook definition. And I just want to say that we have gotten our information from the Women's Center. So if you guys are familiar with that website, it's thewomenscenter.org.
Yes.
Very good information. But what domestic abuse is, it's pretty much the misuse of power in a relationship. It's when one person, take it upon themselves to get and maintain order, control, intimidation, and domination. So they want to intimidate and dominate you and the relationship. So that's what domestic abuse is. Who can be abused? Everybody. Anybody's fair game for domestic abuse. And as we mentioned earlier, there is more than one type of abuse. We know about the physical abuse. You get a black eye, he strangled you, he pulled your hair out, X, Y, and Z. But there's also emotional abuse. You're not pretty. You don't look good enough. You're fat. You could stand to lose.
No one ever
I don't know which one is worse.
You could stand to lose.
Someone's mind is
that mental state. Get in that mental state. And I think that the mental and emotional, they kind of go hand in hand. Some emotional forms of attack can be, you're weak. So now they're not attacking, they're attacking you as a person, your character.
And those scars are still there.
You have to you have to really almost go into kind of like a rejuvenation for your mind and emotions and spirit all together. So is it right? No.
Absolutely not.
In fact, it's a crime.
No, it is.
It is a crime.
It is. I mean, there is no logical reason to explain why somebody is treating you or mistreating you and making you feel like less than a person. No reason for it. So it's not right. So one of the things that we want to do with Rocket is we want to be able to present kind of like the whole picture. It's never our aim to attack someone, but we really feel that in order to really be able to get healing and grow from the situation, that you could possibly try and understand what's going on in the mind of the abuser. What was he thinking? There may not be a logical explanation. Who knows? But in order to get, the full healing from it, I think that it's really worth understanding that stigma, and to really know that you're not worthless just because he said so. He suffered abuse. So the abuse that he suffered is being portrayed and put out on you. So it's an ugly cycle.
It is.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we want to do here today is give you the information you need to protect yourself. Because when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
And you're able to love yourself in a way that you what you deserve.
Yeah.
And it's not to be treated poorly.
Yeah.
You know, and I need people to understand that there's a cycle and there's a pattern behind abusers and their tactics. No abuser really starts off with just instantly hitting their mates. Yeah. You know? So I want to stop, I call it the bait and hook.
Okay.
Now, the technical term, I believe, is the power wheel. And that's basically the term that applied to the abuser and how he gains control. Okay. And slowly gains control in a way that if you aren't really attentive, you don't even know what's happening. Exactly. Wow. And one of the things that an abuser likes to do is start off with little things like isolation. He wants to keep you all to himself. Right. And so that's the way he's going to present it to you.
And you may think it's cute. And you may, like, girl, he always wants me. Around my friend. Yeah. I think it's cute.
Exactly.
Yep.
You know,
pay
attention to it, because what he's doing is slowly separating you from everything that you
your support system.
Your support system. Yeah. You know, he's getting you solely wrapped up in him by pretending to be the love of your life.
Yes.
You know?
The only thing.
Yeah, the only thing that you need.
Yes.
You know, he will try manipulation. If you want to do things for yourself, maybe school, maybe work. Yeah. Like, you're smart enough. I just want you at home. I want to take care of you. You know? And you thinking like,
I just want you happy.
Yeah. You know, these are small things when he's slowly gaining that control and that power. And that's pretty much their point, is to get you completely dependent upon them. Yeah. So that way, when the real them shows up, for whatever reason,
you're already hooked.
You're already hooked. Yeah. You're already in a position where you can't.
And that's not all men are like that, though. No. Some guys do want to just take care of you and love you.
Yes.
So I don't want women to be afraid to fall into that role.
Yes.
But I think that's a good point.
Very good point.
Yeah. So but once the verbal abuse starts, and it usually has sneaks in there, then that's when you need to realize maybe this is not the route.
Exactly. Exactly. He will start to try to be a bit more controlling. Yeah. A bit more possessive.
And I think one of the sure signs, like, to kind of tell, to differentiate that man from the abuser from the good man, is to really look at, is he trying to bring me down? Right. If he's trying to, is he trying to bring me down? Right. Is he trying to stop my progress? Like, know that I am, a self-starter. You know I'm an independent kind of woman. You know those things. Right. And if you aren't trying to promote that to make us a power union, and it's always just about you and what you can do for me and how you can make me better and how you want, this is about you.
And I think that's the greatest point that you mentioned, and that's the small key that you may have to focus on so that you can separate the two. Yeah. An abuser will solely be against you better yourself at any rate. But someone who would just love to take care of you because they're able to will still encourage you to do everything that makes you happy in who you are. Right. Yeah. And then also one of the other tactics that they use after they've shown you who they really are, sometimes threats. So sometimes the victims really are just fearful because a lot of people don't realize that they're being threatened. Their lives are being threatened. Their family members' lives are being threatened. They're being threatened from being ripped away from their children because they can't support them. Right. You know, so there's so many things that go into play when you are dealing with an abuser and how he baits and hooks his spouse and why she may not be able to just leave.
And it's so interesting because, very simply put, it sounds like one of the things, his key ingredient is fear.
Yeah. And power.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I know for us as women, we have certain things that we need to kind of help us feel secure. Yes. So if you start to really tear away that foundation, and now I'm fearful for everything, then it is like, oh, what do I do? Because my security is now within this person who's just treating me. Yeah. And that's, oh my gosh. Yeah. Because so many women get lost in the trap of losing themselves in their mate. Wanting to be like, he takes care of me. No, I don't have to worry about the bills. Right. Johnny pays them. Yes. No, I don't have access. I don't need it. He makes sure, we will lose ourselves so quickly for that kind of love. That
and you know what? A lot of women, they brag about that too. So it's like almost an embarrassment once you tell them that you have been abused, and they're like, okay, well, I thought your life was so great.
Yeah. You know what? And that's a great point, which is why, you know, I think a lot of times women won't speak up about it because of the shame. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do the show, because the victims were being judged so harshly. There was no compassion, no understanding. And I think part of that is because of the shame that they feel when they are, you know, open about what's happening.
And as women, we really have to be more sympathetic to each other. We really do. We go through the same things. You may not have experienced physical abuse, but at some point in your life, you've experienced mental or emotional abuse. We all have experienced something that we kind of have to recuperate from. So we really have to learn to be more
support each other.
Yeah, support each other. We're women. Even if you didn't go through it, you can imagine what it must feel like. Or even if you can't imagine, that's even worse. Because I couldn't imagine, you know, a guy like
losing yourself.
In
this whole process.
Or a guy like putting his fist into my face. I couldn't imagine that.
As if you're another quarterback or something.
Did you make me lose consciousness? I just don't think that there's any action that I could have warranted.
No. And you know, it's one of the things that bothers me when they call it domestic abuse or domestic violence. It is violence. Point blank, period. It's violence and it's wrong. And, you know, with that being said, once those actions are, you know, have taken place, there becomes then a cycle.
A cycle, that's true.
Yes, and with the cycle begins with all types of excuses, ends with abusive episodes, and is definitely repetitive. What you want to do is try and break the cycle, but in a way, you know, you have to go in and see what exactly the cycle is, and it starts with the excuses. You know, you keep going, saying that, you know, you're going to explain this problem away. It's always an excuse when you're dealing with an abuser, and he's always trying to blame you in the beginning. He's blaming you in the end. He's blaming you for the reason why he's hitting you, and you're never a reason why you should be hit. You know, it's something that's probably going on in his life, maybe losing a job, losing a loved one.
Or it could be something that stemmed from his childhood. I think a lot of times when we're dealing with when you're dealing with victims, I think it's like a child. You know, like they act out what they see. These are grown people acting out what they saw.
The abuse, a very violent tantrum.
The abuse that they suffered. They were beat by their dads or by their moms. They were told that they were worthless. So it's almost like, you know, if you don't have anything good inside of you, nothing good is going to come out.
That's true.
You have to put good things, just like, you know, we talked about in our last episode, with nutrients. You put those things in your body and they come out in your hair, your skin. It's the same thing. If you don't put anything positive in your heart, then nothing positive is going to come out. You have ill feelings and all that, you know.
It's going to spread. It's going to spread like a cancer throughout the whole life.
I was going to say like a disease. Absolutely.
Yes, very true.
Exactly. So, you know, after you go through the excuses of why he's doing this to you, he trying and make it up to you by going through, I guess, what they call the honeymoon stage, where he's buying you candy, he's taking you on trips, he's really trying to woo you in, just reel you back in. It's almost like the hook and bait. It's almost like that. He's really trying to get you in and
without never do it again.
Exactly. And give you the promises, the false promises, but the empty promises. And you can't really believe that, because I always feel like if a man is going to hit you one time, it's already in him. He's going to do it again. You know, it's like going with the saying, if he cheats once, he's going to do it again. I don't know, you know, I don't know if we should put that comparable together, but I do feel like if a man is going to hit you, he's definitely
just such an extreme act.
It's almost like if that's who you are, you can only be who you are. If you are an abuser, that's actually going to come to you.
That's such an extreme act.
It really is. I mean, to actually
that rage.
I was just about to say the rage.
What can I say? What can I do to make you that angry? Is it really me making you that angry? Then you start blaming yourself. You don't want to do that.
Right. That's very true. A lot of victims do blame themselves. And it is not your fault. It is not your fault. You cannot control the actions of another adult.
No, you can't. And this is something that I read from the Women's Center, and I just wanted to share this with you guys because we talked a little bit about violence, right? So one of the things they say is that violence comes into play when the abuser cannot control the other person through, their means. So, other means may be economic or financial restrictions.
The power wheel. When that power wheel isn't really working the way it used to, it's like, okay, this is what I know to get you back in line.
Yeah. And it says that they'll even use verbal put downs and criticism to kind of erode the self-esteem. So it's almost like he knows what he's doing.
Yes.
He knows what he's doing.
Yes.
He's not sorry. He knows he knows what he's doing. He's breaking you down. And I was not a victim of physical abuse, but I was very much a victim of mental and emotional abuse. And the gentleman that abused me, he knew exactly, like after talking with him later, it amazed me because I'm like,
because you start to believe it.
But you really
believe it. You are pretty.
Yeah, I really believed it. But the strange thing about it was like we talked after, and he told me like, well, you know what? I was just saying that stuff to keep you because I knew if you thought this or that, you would leave.
Yeah,
and it blew my mind. I was like,
they have to tell you no one else will want you because then you're gonna want to stay. Like, no one else is gonna want me.
Ain't nobody else gonna want
you. Stay.
Right.
You don't want to feel
and I think again that's where knowing yourself and that self-confidence really comes into play. Trust me, there's always somebody that would want you. So
always.
Yeah.
So if you mess around and fall for the okie doke, if you want to, after the honeymoon stage, you go back into your regular routine where everything, it seems like it's normal, and it might be like this for a while.
Right.
Where everything is on routine.
Cool.
He's back in his love.
He's back in Prince Charming mode.
Okay, everything is fine, and then you go through, there's a moment of tension. Tension could be caused by pretty much anything. No one ever really knows why tension is
what those triggers.
And this is the part where you're walking on eggshells at this point.
And who wants
you don't know exactly what to say.
In your own home.
In your own home, you don't know what to say. You don't know what to do.
Can you just imagine that though? Like Johnny comes home, it's like, oh shit.
I know. Is the dinner ready? Is the fork where it should be? Is the
I wouldn't know what to do because maybe you don't want maybe you don't want the fork there. Maybe. Maybe.
Because sometimes it really is.
Do I smell
things that are so small?
Wine in the glass.
Things that are so small.
And that's why they say with the trigger, once he's found the trigger, it could be anything. Like the dish rag is to the left when it should be to the right. And, and he just goes insane. And then there goes that cycle.
All over again.
And you're going through it again because what happens after he abused you, he's going to go through the honeymoon stage again. And then you're gonna keep going through this, so you gotta recognize,
or at least try to. I think after he has realized that he's got you hooked, then that's when the honeymoon phase becomes non-existent. It's just torment. After that,
and I think that's really when all of that fear and tension just plays that huge part into why many women remain. You know. And it's
especially when you have children or something.
It's hard. It's really hard for the kids. A lot of times these abused men are afraid to be alone, and I don't really understand that because it's like you're not doing anything to keep this woman here, really.
Because it's not about the woman. He's afraid to be alone, probably because he was kept alone as a child. He grew up without a mother or a father. And in my situation, the gentleman, he grew up without a mother or a father. His father was wed to another woman. His mother was in jail. So he had his own cycle of abuse. He was in and out of foster homes. He had been physically and mentally abused.
So this is all he knows.
This all he and it was sad because I knew he loved me, but he couldn't give me something he didn't have. He didn't have it in him. He has to be taught all over again how to love. He has to have somebody love him. It couldn't be me because I'm not really his equal, but maybe from another man, or they could kind of reconstruct his mind. But he was abused. A lot of the times they are abused too, and it's really a really sad.
And I think you raised a great point that a lot of times the healing that he may need, it's not your responsibility.
It's not. You cannot take
to
that
make
on.
sure he gets there.
No,
it's your responsibility.
You're not a psychologist.
Exactly.
Don't play one in real life. Don't
play
it at all.
No.
They have degrees for a reason.
Yes.
Don't.
So
I actually fell into that trap.
Take care of you. Do what's best for you.
And sometimes the best thing you can do for him is
to let him go.
To let him go. And even if that's not physically just yet, kind of start to break away emotionally. Break away mentally. Take some time to, when he's not there, go into your closet, because I used to do that. When he wasn't there, I would have my little prayer book in my closet, like, you know what? the Word of God says I'm beautiful. It says I'm smart. It says this. It says this.
It says I'm fearfully
and wonderfully made. That's
and
right.
you are.
Yeah.
You are.
And
you
have to
click
believe
there
that.
to go through
That's
that.
right.
You know?
That's right.
And if he ever tells you, you would never find another one like me, you just pray and hope to God that you never do.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
I love that.
Can we get an amen?
Yes. I'm like, I love that.
Yes. I don't even have a dollar for
not
the
for the collection plate.
My goodness.
Oh my gosh.
She took it to church.
Yeah. You know what? Thank you guys so much for joining us during this webisode. You do not want to miss part 2. We have helpful tips. We have myths that we're going to debunk about victims. You don't want to miss this. We hope you share it with everybody that you know because it's powerful and it is truly going to change lives. Thank you so much, fans. We love you.
We love you.